This place truly has some of the most impressive resort grounds that I've seen in quite a while. Hi there, my name is Kevin and I make honest, unsponsored, and to the point, narrated video tours about resorts and flights all over the world. This is my 98th video and today we are surrounded by the beautiful gardens of the Intercontinental Jimbaran Bali. I hope you'll join me for the full resort tour. Welcome to Jimbaran Bay, originally a small fishing community to the south of the airport and the setting for today's resort, the Intercontinental Jimbaran. If you'd like to see the exact rate that I paid, or my next 5 videos in queue, please check out the description below. I'm specifying Jimbaran here because there are now 2 Intercontinentals on the island. What used to be the Fairmont Bali rebranded earlier this year as the Intercontinental Sanur Beach, and that's actually where I was interested in at first, but ended up choosing the Jimbaran property because of its well-known gardens, which did not disappoint. Just like I hope that this video does not disappoint. In fact, I hope you'll love it and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for 3 new videos each week. It's free after all, but if you're not a fan of free things, I also do have a new Patreon, which is linked in the description below. And as always, this channel is an evolution of the experience I gain along the way. So any and all insight or suggestions that you may have to make the content better, I'm all ears. Just drop a comment below. Thank you in advance for all that you may do. I hope you weren't so caught up with my little aside there that you completely missed our first taste of the gardens here. As part of the oversized roundabout entrance, complete with one of the resort's many koi ponds in the middle. The hanging vines along the way are also quite the first impression. To put it in the words of my Grab driver who stopped in the middle of the driveway, kind of forgetting that he was driving, quote, "Oh wow, it's so beautiful." I concur. As we approach the pristine entry pavilion, I have something that I need to confess on behalf of the resort. This October, she's going to be celebrating her 29th birthday. All things considered, this place is in pretty incredible condition, and it's not like it's an easy place to maintain. The resort's 430 guest rooms are spread out over 14 hectares, which has an impressive 1,300 feet of shoreline, and every inch of the property is primmed and pruned. The lobby, and most of the resort actually, is a very classically smart design language that many intercontinental resorts have come to be known for. High contrast colors and textures along with a very good housekeeping staff make for a really great fresh first impression. It seems the reception staff will take your lead regarding check-in locations. Some happened at the front desks and some throughout the lobby. At the desk, I was offered a lemongrass iced tea and a cold towel, which probably wasn't meant to be placed directly onto the counter. I had a bit of a strange rate for my stay here, one that did include 2 massages, but didn't include breakfast. But absolutely no complaints there, trust me. I'll take a free massage any day over a free breakfast. I needed to wait around 20 minutes for my room to be ready, so let's take a walk around and start to explore. I'm going to try to limit how many more times I mention the beautiful gardens and just let them speak for themselves. Imagine, if you will, a Japanese garden being transplanted into the tropics. Where exactly are we in the tropics is a very good question, by the way. On the southwest coast of the island, the Intercontinental is just a 10-minute drive from the airport and on the crescent Jimbaran Bay, which is famous for its beachside seafood barbecue restaurants and sunsets. A pretty good mix if you ask me. Alright, let's explore the pools and the beach itself. While some of the pools, such as the one in front of us now, is beautiful enough to be mistaken as a water feature, they are in fact all functioning pools. And as busy as the resort seemed to be, none of them ever seemed all that crowded. It honestly looks as if it's like photo shoot ready. Ahead of us is the primary swimming pool at the resort, which has a few nice features. First of all, it's just next to Jimbaran Gardens restaurant, which we'll check out later. But most important for some, there is a true swim-up bar, something that's not really that common here. The beach side of the pool is set up with lots of tables, all reserved for sunset, and on the opposite side from the bar, there's another pavilion with lots of day beds available. I absolutely love how spread out the property is, with more seating and lounging options throughout than I've seen in quite a while. The beach itself, as with all beaches in Bali, is public access, but there are still lots of loungers with arguably better placement than on the beach itself. While Jimbaran is one of the beaches unfortunately known for an annual barrage of sea garbage, usually in January or February, this time of the year, my visit was in June, the beaches are clean and the waters are clear. Now, on the other side of the resort, near the spa, I'll take you for a peek at the Intercontinental Club, which, technically speaking, I don't have access to, but no one is checking early in the morning. In addition to the indoor club restaurant itself, those with access will also be able to choose this pool to lounge at during the day. Throughout the property, there are also many of these small pavilions available for anyone who may prefer to lounge elevated. Alright, let's head to the room. From the lobby, we passed through the shops, which instantly took me back to the days when small shopping arcades like these were some of the few places where you could actually buy genuine Western brands in Southeast Asia. Interesting that they still maintain a Ralph Lauren shop. The majority of the corridors throughout the resort are open air. I think we all know that generally when we think of garden view room categories, we know that we might just be looking at a parking lot that happens to have a tree in the middle of it. Not here though. In terms of the best rooms to have, I think it's more about the floor that you're on rather than the room itself. First of all, the ground floor. Please avoid it if you can. The rooms are not walkout for the most part and are actually kinda barricaded behind a wall that separates you from the gardens itself. The second and the fourth floors are better choices, but they both have similar solid walls on the balcony that just give it a bit of a more closed-in feel. Luckily for me, the third floor has an open fence design which you can see through, and because of that, I'd say request the third floor if you're able to. Alright, walking into the room, there are two things that strike me. First of all, the overall impression is a good one. The room feels up to date, but as I not so gingerly referred to it as lipstick on a handsome pig on my scoring sheet, the rooms do show their age a bit. especially on all of the trim and moldings and floors. The walls are freshly painted, yes, but you can kinda tell that it's like the 34th coat of paint. The floors in some spots are a bit wonky, and my biggest criticism is the bed and the bedding itself. In terms of connectivity, you're not going to have a problem finding a place to charge all of your devices. The minibar was a bit depressing, with an empty cooler, and though not quite as much of an international scandal as the Mandarin Oriental in Singapore doing the same thing, there was only instant coffee available. Allow me to properly describe the bedding. It was clean, and it was old. I'm talking about the mattress itself, and all of the linens, and the pillows. They were kinda like inflated bags of air with, 8 or 9 feathers inside. Lay a pinky on them, and they just collapse into nothingness. So I called to ask for either a firm or a foam pillow. There was a slight pause, and then a less confident, "Right away, sir." A few moments later, this arrived. I mean, points for creativity, but no. Stuffing 3 soft and crappy pillows into one pillowcase does not quite make a firm pillow. That, by the way, is a good example of the service in general. It was polished, well-intentioned, and friendly, but sometimes it was just pretty clear that there were limitations on what they could actually do. Moving on to the walk-through closet where most of the wonky flooring lay, there was plenty of room to unpack and spread out, and the eye-level safe is much appreciated. The bathroom was a decent size and a good use of the odd-shaped space, but with the generic products on offer and the not-so-fantastic towels and such, didn't really excite the senses all that much. The gorgeous view from the balcony, on the other hand, was without a doubt the room's redeeming factor. This being Jimbaran and all, the late afternoon sun kinda pulls you out to the beach, especially on a clear day like today. Before long, a beautiful golden glow fell over the whitewashed resort, and the tables began to fill up as the live band, which was delightfully not annoying as they often are at resorts, as they began their first set. This is also the busiest time of the day at the beaches by far, with quite a few people in front of the resort, but loads of people just a bit to the south, all engulfed in smoke from the charcoal grills. Alright, let's talk about dinner. We have a few options. First off, there's the Sunset Beach Bar and Grill, which is actually closed for renovations at the moment, but in the meantime you can order the menu near the sunset tables that we saw before. Next up, Bella Cucina. Honestly, it surprises me how many resorts in Bali have Italian restaurants, but I guess whatever floats your boat. The restaurant is nicely outfitted, but the menu seems a bit limited and dated in concept really. There's a nice outdoor patio though for some nice evening alfresco dining. Another option, of course, is always room service, which was some of the best that I had on the island. Finally, we have Jimbaran Gardens, which serves up a variety of international and local fare throughout the day. In the mornings, it also serves as an overflow restaurant for breakfast, as the primary restaurant gets very crowded. Food-wise, this meal was by far the highlight of my stay here. The space is open air and has a nice ambience at night, with the pool glowing behind it. If you'd like one of the patio tables though, make sure to make reservations for them. Dinner started with a very exciting sparkling water and some rice crackers with sweet chili and peanut sauce. I suppose they're targeting what they think the crowd wants here, but I would have liked to see a nice homemade sambal instead. Next up is an Indonesian dish that I've been a bit obsessed with for years, gado-gado. Essentially a salad, but good enough that I would have ordered it both nights had I known the first. I suppose I would have ordered the next dish twice also. I had nasi campur for the main. Campur essentially means mixed, so this is the mixed grill served with rice. The rendang was as good as ever, but the star here was the duck. Ironically, their cousins were constantly walking around the gardens, but I'm not sorry. It was phenomenal. By the way, the service in the restaurant also some of the best that I've had on the island. The next morning, we head to Taman Gita, which is open only for breakfast and nicely decorated and open inside, but it left a bit to be desired. Service-wise, coffees took forever, whether they were crowded or not, and frankly, it wasn't worth the wait. For the buffet, this is one of those setups that tries to fool you a bit with the arrangement and setup and decorations to make it seem like there's a lot more on offer than there actually is. Essentially across the board, it was just a bit disappointing. Also, service was very slow as many of the stations would take your order and then deliver it to your table. Problem is, the French toast and pancake station for example, which only had one small griddle for a 400-room resort. That being said, the French toast was worth every one of those 20 minutes waiting. I'd suggest heading to Jimbaran Gardens for breakfast unless you're here super early. My first morning, I had to wait 15 minutes for a table at around 8:30 in the morning. And by the way, most websites advertise the breakfast as being $30 US, but it's in fact 300,000 rupiah, which is around $20. If you'd care to work off that French toast, there is a very well-equipped fitness center, which brings us to the last stop, the Uluwatu Spa. As I said, my rate included one massage for 2 people, which meant I got 2 massage coupons. So I just asked if I could have one 90-minute massage instead of 2 60 minutes, and they happily agreed. The full experience was, I think, as you'd expect it to be, except for the treatment room itself. The spa is beautiful, but the treatment rooms, at least the one that I was in, was small, humid, dark, just not relaxing. That said, the massage did do the trick. Before treatments, you're given a cold towel and iced tea, and after a small granola bar with a boiling hot cinnamon tea, which I couldn't get enough of. And that wraps up this tour. So what are we thinking? The Intercontinental Jimbaran is a fantastic resort that's ideal for families. The mildly dated rooms, I'd easily be able to look right past if it hadn't been for the crappy bedding. Overall though, a really beautiful property. Now, onto the flip-flop score. Feel free to pause if you'd like to take a closer look. To anyone that watched until now, liked this video, or subscribed because of it, many thanks for that. And I hope you'll join me for my next video, which is a quick Jetstar Asia flight from Singapore to Denpasar.